What happens when a basketball legend chases potential over proven success? And could this decision haunt Kevin Durant for the rest of his career? The basketball world is buzzing with excitement and bewilderment as Kevin Durant embarks on what might be the most puzzling chapter of his illustrious career. After being traded to the Houston Rockets in a move that shocked the NBA landscape, Durant has essentially bet his remaining prime years on a young, unproven core instead of reuniting with his championship-tested Golden State Warriors teammates for one final championship run. The irony is almost poetic, a 36-year-old superstar racing against Father Time, choosing uncertainty over the familiar comfort of championship pedigree. But as the dust settles on this blockbuster trade, one question looms larger than any other. Has Kevin Durant just made the costliest mistake of his legendary career? The trade that left everyone scratching their heads, the Phoenix Suns' decision to trade Durant to Houston for what many consider an underwhelming package, speaks volumes about the current state of the NBA's trade market. Jalen Green, Dillon Brooks, and the 10th overall pick in the upcoming draft. That's the return for one of the greatest scorers in basketball history. While the Rockets clearly believe this acquisition accelerates their timeline toward contention, the reality is far more complex. Durant, with only 1 year remaining on his 4-year, $194 million contract, holds all the leverage. There's no guarantee he'll extend his stay in Houston, making this trade feel more like a desperate gamble than a calculated championship move. The Rockets finished this past season with an impressive 52-win record, capturing the second seed in the brutally competitive Western Conference. On paper, adding a player of Durant's caliber, someone who averaged 26.6 points, 6 rebounds, and 4.2 assists this season, should elevate them to legitimate title contender status. But basketball isn't played on paper, and the Rockets' first-round playoff exit against the very team Durant could have rejoined tells a different story entirely. The Warriors reunion that almost was here's where the story takes a fascinating turn that could define Durant's legacy. Golden State didn't just casually inquire about their former superstar, they made a genuine, aggressive push to bring him back home. The Warriors reportedly offered Jimmy Butler their recent high-profile acquisition in a straight swap for Durant at the trade deadline. Imagine for a moment, Stephen Curry, Draymond Green, and Kevin Durant reuniting for one final championship chase. The trio that dominated the league and won 2 championships together, now older, wiser, and perhaps more motivated than ever to capture one last title together. The Warriors' offer wasn't just about nostalgia, it was about proven championship chemistry. Curry and Green know exactly how to maximize Durant's impact. They've seen him at his absolute best. And more importantly, they know how to complement his game when the lights shine brightest in the playoffs. Instead, Durant chose the unknown quantity of Houston's young core, a decision that becomes more perplexing when you examine what he's walking into. The Houston reality, check the Rockets' youth movement, is undeniably talented, but talent and championship readiness are two very different things. With Jalen Green now in Phoenix, Houston's offensive burden falls heavily on players like Alperen Sengun, Jabari Smith Jr., and Tari Eason, all promising talents who have yet to prove they can perform when championship pressure reaches its peak. Sengun, at just 22 years old, had an outstanding regular season, averaging 19.1 points, 10.3 rebounds, and 4.9 assists. But when the playoffs arrived and the intensity ratcheted up, he struggled against Draymond Green's veteran savvy and defensive pressure. That's not a criticism of Sengun's talent. It's simply the reality of what happens when youth meets playoff experience. The Rockets' first-round elimination against Golden State in 7 games perfectly illustrates the gap between regular season success and playoff readiness. Their young core showed flashes of brilliance, but ultimately couldn't sustain the consistency needed to advance. Adding Durant certainly addresses their scoring concerns, but it doesn't magically mature their roster overnight. Durant's arrival in Houston creates an interesting dynamic, a 36-year-old superstar trying to drag a collection of talented youngsters to championship heights. History suggests this approach rarely works. Championships are typically won by teams with multiple players who understand what it takes to win at the highest level. The championship window dilemma time is Durant's most precious commodity at this stage of his career. Every decision he makes must be viewed through the lens of championship probability, not potential. The Warriors offered him a ready-made championship contender with proven pieces who know how to win together. Houston offers him potential, the hope that their young players will develop quickly enough to compete for a title, while Durant still has elite basketball left in his tank. It's a beautiful story if it works, but championship windows don't wait for development curves. The Western Conference remains absolutely brutal. The defending champion Nuggets aren't going anywhere. The Lakers, with LeBron James and Anthony Davis, remain dangerous. The Clippers, when healthy, are formidable. The Mavericks are coming off a finals appearance. Even the Warriors, despite their recent struggles, have championship DNA and experience. Does Houston, even with Durant, have enough to navigate this gauntlet? Their regular season success was impressive, but playoff basketball is an entirely different beast that rewards experience and proven chemistry over raw talent and potential. The legacy question: Durant's career has been defined by his pursuit of championships and the criticism that followed some of his decisions. His move to Golden State in 2016 was controversial but ultimately successful, yielding 2 championships and cementing his status among the game's elite. This Houston gamble feels different. It's not about joining a proven winner, it's about betting on youth and hoping lightning strikes. If it works, Durant becomes the veteran leader who guided a young team to championship glory, a narrative that would be celebrated throughout basketball history. If it fails, however, Durant risks being remembered as the superstar who chose potential over proven success in the twilight of his career. The Warriors' reunion would have been the safer choice, the decision that prioritized championship probability over everything else. The countdown begins with only 1 year remaining on his contract. Durant's clock is ticking louder than ever. The Rockets have 1 season to prove they can provide him with the championship opportunity he's seeking. If they fall short, Durant could find himself in another trade scenario, potentially with fewer appealing destinations, and even less time to chase that elusive third championship. The basketball world will be watching closely as this experiment unfolds. Can Durant's veteran leadership and elite scoring ability elevate Houston's young core to championship heights? Can Sengun Smith Jr. and Eason mature quickly enough to provide the consistent support Durant needs? Or will we look back on this moment as the time when Kevin Durant chose hope over reality, youth over experience, and potential over proven championship pedigree? The answers to these questions will define not just the next chapter of Durant's career, but potentially his entire basketball legacy. In a league where championship windows open and close with ruthless efficiency, Durant has chosen to bet on tomorrow rather than capitalize on yesterday's proven formula. Only time will tell if this gamble pays off, but one thing is certain: the stakes have never been higher and the margin for error has never been smaller. So, what's your take on Durant's decision? Do you think he made the right choice betting on Houston's youth, or should he have taken the safe route back to Golden State? Let us know in the comments what you think about this fascinating career crossroads, and smash that like button if you're as intrigued as we are about how this story will unfold.